You know where I'm getting all my clues to find my way to this? You're not going to believe this, because I figured out the Matrix. I got most of the information from some cartoons, a couple of movies, and Black's Law 9th edition magic book, because it is a magic book. And I've got a document I want to share with a lot of people as well, Black's Law magic book, and they'll understand the power of it. We are living in Oz. You have to remember this, that any law that is written through the Bar Society applies worldwide. I think 65 million or so laws. Not trying to confuse things, but it's something for Americans in particular. But just because, people, when they see Constitution or United States versus Wade, it's more comfortable, but this applies worldwide. And given that Canada is actually owned by a United States corporation, so is Australia, by the way, this applies as well. It's called a Wade hearing, and I got this clue from Gravity Falls episode called The Time Traveler Pig, and the pig's name was Waddles. And you got to pay attention in the magic world, everything comes in threes, right? And the first thing that resonated with me was when Mabel, one of the main characters, won a pig, and she named it Waddles, and she said, Waddles, Waddles, my pig Waddles. Oh, 3 times, so let's look up the closest thing in Black's Law to Waddles. And here's what came up, boys and girls, so check this shit out. Wade hearing, 1969. It's actually from 1926 ruling. Criminal law, a pre-trial hearing in which the defendant contests validity of his or her out-of-court identification. If the court finds that the identification was tainted by unconstitutional methods, maybe kidnapping, perhaps, the prosecution cannot use the identification and must link the defendant to the crime by other means. Does it get clearer than that? Right in Black's magic book. Okay? So let's have a look at validity of his or her out-of-court identification. Well, I'll tell you why it's not valid and why it's unconstitutional, and that's worldwide, is the fact that the birth certificate is an unlawful document until it is placed in a lawful repository. That was by command of, as commanded by Richard I. And these things are all still in place, guys. There's no such thing as a defunct law. You just got to know where to look, and you got to dig deep. So the basic thing here is, and I proved this, from my perspective in terms of how I was trying to travel to Ireland last year to take my dad's ashes home. I went to the British High Consulate, and I had numerous conversations with the gentleman by the name of Page, who no longer works there. What are the odds? They moved somewhere, but he had to be honest with me because I was asking the right questions. And I said to him very clearly on numerous occasions to make sure that he got it. He answered me straight out on the third questioning of it, though, and I know that for a fact. Looking back. I said to him, I said, listen, any use of the name, because I don't own that particular name, is pure fraud, and you don't want me committing fraud, do you? Well, no, we don't want you doing that. Oh, okay, so then it is used, and that's coming from the British High Consulate. Like I said, I'm Northern Ireland, so I was kidnapped out of the jurisdiction of the island and placed in Northern Ireland, which is the United Kingdom jurisdiction. And as a result, here's the thing, though. If it's unlawful and illegal for me to use the name, then by default it is unlawful and illegal for anyone else to use it and make a claim on it. Because until that birth certificate makes it ashore, literally, getting past customs, which is where it's stuck at right now, and I have the opening line in my little writ here, absolutely making that crystal clear. Where was it? Just to share with you guys. Okay, whereas my STAR contract, long-form birth certificate, is in custody with the Registrar General and given under seal of the General Register Office, Belfast, Northern Ireland, as claimed on the actual certified copy, my original copy has not been deposited in a local repository, namely the King's Exchequer at Westminster, commanded by Richard I. The fact that they were able to copy it at the Registrar General tells me that.
Right.
So I know it's not a lawful document, and it says right on my birth certificate, not to be used, warning, a certificate is not, here, let me just grab it and read it. I carry a copy because anytime anyone needs to get caught in fraud, well, I'm your girl. I'll catch you. Yeah, please. You want to play entrapment with me? There you go. No problem. Okay, here it is. I'm just opening it up right now just to share this with you guys because I shared this many times, and it's finally sinking in with people. Because it says right on it, warning, a certificate is not evidence of identity. Okay, then just like your movie, Scott, what the fuck is it? If it's not proof of identity, what is it? Oh, that's wrong.
Just quickly to go back a little bit earlier on there, you mentioned the Wade hearing. The Wade hearing was for the pretrial hearing to contest the validity of the out-of-court identification.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right, so out-of-court identification is key in this, in as much as when you step into this court, or any one of these Ponzi courts, they basically want you to be the estate or the all caps version.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this is why I like talking with people like you and Cyndi and Santo and Tony and so many others, because you guys actually get it right up close and personal. And I'll tell you something else. Your kids, if you have any children, they're not your heirs. You are the heir to your children because you created that. Now, I'll tell you why, and you have to pay attention to, you're going to love this one, Scott, because you've done the sailing thing, yeah? You're a captain. Yep. Well, here's what you are. You're a ward of admiralty, a seaman. You can spell it one of ways, right? So let's just go with the sound, because that's where the spells really are. So, a ward of admiralty is a seaman, so called because of the legal view that a seaman in contractual matters could be treated as the beneficiary and the other contracting party as a fiduciary, a.k.a. mom, because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. Well, that's right, because seaman, he just shows up to the port, makes his deposit, and for the next 9 months, mom is busy building the constructive trust. So she has a more equitable claim in the net finished product because she built it. Right? So that's why it's an inequitability of the bargaining positions. That's why the seaman is the beneficiary and the egg is the fiduciary. That's why they want the birth certificates, because what they want mom and dad to do is to give up their inheritance, aka their children, so the state can have it and claim the fruit of their labor. It's not. It's all backwards. Do you see how that works?
God, it's backwards, right?
It's amazing. It's right there in your face.
So just to go over this again, we've got mother and father who essentially are treated as beneficiaries.
Mom is the fiduciary. You got to think in terms of construction here, right? Mom is the builder. Yep. Dad is contractor to the building. And what he does is he gets into contract with mom. The agreement is the deposit of semen for the egg. They get together, let's build it. Okay, well, mom's got the big end of the deal there because she's the one that has to actually build it, right? She spends 9 months building that little constructive trust. And, of course, as a result of that, the dad or the contractor, the semen contractor, is the beneficiary of that building once it's complete. He gets to enjoy it as much as mom, but there's an inequitability there in that dad only, gave hopefully a little more than 3 minutes of his time to, and it's not like it wasn't a good time for pop, you know what I'm saying? So it's a bit of a balance here, but it's like, somebody walking up and putting $10 down on the table and saying, build me a house, and the house gets all built. Well, the dad can live there, but he doesn't own it, if you know what I'm saying. And they have to. This is why the surnames for marriage, that's why they want the marriage license so they can own the marriage, because that's the actual contract of agreement between them. So my advice to anyone out there is marriage license. No. Do you need to drive each other, or do you need to fish each other? I don't think so.
Never.
But you see the trap, though, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I just want to take this one step further. This will help clarify it for everyone. So now what I want to do is reread that word of admiralty. Oh, by the way, this came out of the cartoons as well. Yeah, I shit you not. Anyway, word of admiralty, I want you to keep in mind semen and egg. Okay? Beneficiary is semen, egg is fiduciary. And that's the child that gets built. So here we go again. Word of admiralty. And the admiralty is senior to the court because what are the courts based in? Admiralty. So you have to go to the high seas to get this. Word of Admiralty, a seaman, so called because of the legal view that a seaman in contractual matters should be treated as a beneficiary and the other contracting party as a fiduciary because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining position. That's why mom has always carried the weight in courts as far as custody of the children. She built the damn thing, so she gets more right to it. There is an inequitability in that contract. And oh, go ahead.
Sorry, so what you've just read out is relating to Admiralty, and we're talking actual law of the ocean there, and yet you switched those terms around in terms of the biology of it, and you're talking the same thing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and what people have to see, and they have to see this, and this is where I was chasing it down based on natural law, because I saw the whole Admiralty setup, Phoenician law, whatever you want to call it, as an absolute mirror to natural law. So as above, so below. That's cosmic law, right? When you can see both of them at the same time, then it all makes sense. So just to clarify this even further, this applies to the name and why it was important for mom to take on dad's name. And it goes into more detail in this document, Scott. You'll see that as you're going through. But you'll get an idea of the power you're wielding now. So whereas the surname is assumed automatic at birth, as much as my mother adopted my father's surname upon marriage, my living blood was kidnapped by cesarean, and I was taken from my natural jurisdiction to be willfully enslaved into another legal, corporate, dead jurisdiction against my free will choice via deceptios, via wrongful assumption. And it's all about assumption. Remember that.
Yep.
Pretty cool, huh? How am I doing so far?
It's excellent. It's beautiful. That's what you were just saying just now. It reminds me of someone in the chat room in the Angels room the other night saying, how am I going to, they were going to have a baby, and his wife was going to have a baby, and wanted to know, what to do about the birth certificate and all that jazz. And he said something about, how am I going to prove he's my child or I'm his father? And you responded, Kate, well, your blood does that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were going off track in straw man's no mind legal fiction realm, and what I was trying to say, at what point do you need a piece of paper to prove the mitochondrial DNA and the father's DNA in the child? Good luck with a piece of paper proving that. You know what? I'll just jab my finger and give you a little blood sample, and you tell me which piece of paper I'm related to.
Exactly.
Yeah, the red one in the gift card selection.
Oh, apparently, I think it's the one that looks like a candy cane with stripes on it, like a barber's pole. And what do they think? Would they think we're all carrying chloroform and putting ourselves to sleep here? I don't think so.
So we've got this kidnapping that's taken place from the natural jurisdiction to this legal corporate jurisdiction.
Yes.
Obviously against your free will, because you didn't have a say in it when you were...
The long form had the date of birth written over either a dotted line or nothing, which means it's a private date of birth. It's not a solid line, which means for public use. And the thing that you'll see different from the long form is, are your parents listed on that document that you have?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that is the long form, because what they're doing is they're showing the actual blood lineage, your progeny line. Okay? If you look at the short form, there's no mention of your parents. So what's happened is this has now assumed to be your parent, and what shitty parents they are, huh? Mm. They don't like looking after their kids. They just like beating them down to the ground and stealing all their money as the beneficiary that has been stolen from your mom and dad, because you are the fruit of their loom. Okay?
Hmm.
Do you see how the mirror works here?
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty little circumstance.
Yeah, it's now exposed, right?
So the difference between the short form and the long form is the long form has the parents mentioned.
Yes, and that is the long and short of it.
Okay. I'm looking at a Kiwi birth certificate and an Aussie one here, and both have are in the long form. I haven't actually come across a short form one, but I suppose that doesn't really matter.
Well, you need, if you're going to make this claim, it's a perfected claim. You need to have the short form. Typically, what you might have is a tear out from the bond, which is in the card form. I'm not sure what they have down here, but I know in Canada and the U.S. they have that. Do they not? Oh, I know they have it in Canada. Do they have that down where you are, Cyndi?
What is this again?
It's like almost like credit card sized short form.
Credit card size short form. No. Only thing I have like a credit when I got my passport, and a passport came like a credit card. But I heard you mention this short form before, and where would someone, let's say in the United States or Australia or anywhere else, how do you acquire this?
Well, you see, here's the thing. You might just want to call the Secretary of State and maybe ask them about, the long form birth certificate. It's not a lawful document. You're wondering if you can get a hold of the short form. Better yet, just go online, and there are companies that will secure those for you. You see, that's a third party you can go through that removes the burden of doing that. It might cost you a couple extra dollars or euros or pounds or whatever to do that. I got to tell you, I've got almost $200 in 2 pieces of paper that are the end game of exposing the fraud for what it is. Birth certificate. This is from Black's Law. A formal document that records a person's birth date, birthplace, and parentage. In all 50 states, everywhere in the world, by the way, an adopted child receives a second birth certificate reflecting his or her adoptive parents. So do we, because the state is pretending to be our adoptive parents. In such a case, the original birth certificate is usually sealed and can be opened only by court order. Imagine that. Some states allow limited access, depending on the year when an adoptee was born, and sometimes on whether the birth parents consent. The trend today is to open records if, 1, both the child and biological parent consent, for example, through an adoption registry, or 2, the child requests and upon notification, the biological parent does not veto the request. Oregon enacted the first statute to permit access to birth records upon the unilateral demand of the adopted child, once the child reaches the age of majority. Are you guys over 18?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, well, let me see. I'll read this again. Oregon enacted the first statute to permit access to birth records upon the unilateral demand, means you, of the adopted child, because that's what we are in their eyes, once you reach the age of majority. Now, in the case of children, that's what you can do. You can do it for them. So how quickly can you say the system is screwed?
Yeah.